So today on the podcast, we are continuing to explore the art of visualization. Now, last week I shared how Olympic athletes use this tool to win gold medals and be peak performers in sport. And in today's episode, I want to dive into the scientific studies around this tool and how it can enhance our magnetic minds and just show you how effective visualization can be. Now, personally, I actually use visualization a lot, and I always have ever since I found out about it. But lately, I've been getting just way more into it and way more disciplined with my visualization practice. And while I've been using visualization for years, I just wanted to develop a lot more structure and habit around it and apply it to a lot more areas in my life so I have more experiences to write about. Now, everyone manifests in very different ways, but I've always been a very visual manifester. I'm a very visual person, and I often see pictures, ideas, and dreams like all in my mind's eye before they actually come into the real world. I think a classic example of this is the Manifesty logo. So when you go online and you type in manifest and then IE into the app store, you will come up with Manifesty. So that is the app that we created, is the app that sponsors this podcast. And when redesigning the logo for Manifesty, I saw a very specific design. I saw that wave that's in the logo and the star, and then I saw the exact tone of purple it would be. Everything was in my head, all put together. And then I had to actually explain my vision to Chris, and he was the one that brought that Manifesty logo to life. And that's for me an example of visualizing something into your reality.
Have you ever felt stuck in a cycle of self-sabotage? You set big goals, make plans, but somehow you find yourself doom scrolling instead of actually taking action. If you answered yes, I want to let you know that I've been exactly where you are. For years, I was doing all of the right things. I was setting intentions, making vision boards, and practicing gratitude. But real lasting transformation kept slipping through my fingers. That was until I discovered the missing piece, which is the power of the subconscious mind. Now, this discovery changed everything for me, and it became my mission to understand the deep mechanics of how to make lasting change. And after a decade of practice, research, and helping thousands of other people transform their lives, I have now captured these secrets in my new book, Magnetic. Now, inside Magnetic, you'll discover how to harness your subconscious mind to finally manifest the health, wealth, love, and the happiness that you deserve. No more self-sabotage, no more procrastination, just aligned action and real results. And when you order Magnetic today, you're also going to get instant access to the Magnetic Portal, your sacred space for transformation. Now, inside you'll find exclusive EFT tapping sessions to rewire your subconscious mind to make lasting change, deep dive teachings through the Secret Magnetic podcast series, powerful guided meditations to amplify your manifestation powers, and most importantly, a supportive community of conscious creators just like you looking to make a change. So click the link down below in the description box to start your transformation with Magnetic. And trust me when I say that your future self will thank you for it.
So another example of this is the Mindspo self-love retreats. Now, if you look at the Mindspo retreats page, you will see all the lights that we use in the ceremonies, the 90-page booklet that goes with the experience, all the aesthetics of everything that we do. Like all of the aesthetics, all of the pictures, the frames, the way things are set up, everything that it now looks like was once in my head. Even the retreat center that we run our retreats at. I have a crazy story about that. Before that retreat center was even built, Sol and I were dreaming of creating our own retreat center. And on a piece of paper one day, Sol drew out a schematic, like a sketch of a retreat center that we were potentially going to build. And then I joke you not, a year and a half, like 2 years later, we find our new retreat center that we run Mindspo retreats at, which isn't a center that we built. It's a center that someone else built. And that retreat center is almost identical to the retreat center that we visualized and drew out on that piece of paper. It's some serious big magic shit. So everything that I've created in business has been a visualization in my head first. It's not so much about just seeing an idea idea or a dream before it happens. Visualization is also something that you can use to become better at a skill that you might need in order to manifest or achieve your dreams. This is where there is actually so much research around visualization from a scientific standpoint, which is what I want to dive into today. So, let's talk science. The first point I want to make and share is that scientific research has shown that mental practices can be super effective, just like physical practices can be. So the first study that I want to share is by Cleveland Clinic Foundation in Ohio. Now, they compared two groups. So they split up two groups, and one group did physical finger exercises while the other group mentally practiced these exercises in their minds. And the results from this were astonishing. So the physically active group, the ones that were moving their fingers, they experienced a 53% increase in finger muscle strength. But the group that only imagined performing the exercises, they also saw an increase of 35% in muscle strength. Now, this just shows how our mind can influence our physical bodies and our tissues, even when it comes to our muscles. Now, in another study that I found, golfers were actually able to improve their putting skills through mental imagery. They visualized successful putts, and as a result, they were actually having tangible improvements in their real life putting accuracy just by putting in their mind. It's just wild. I just love this stuff. Now, in a previous episode, the one I did last week, I actually shared how elite performers and top athletes use visualization to improve their performance. So if you want to hear more about that, then go back to last week's manifestation episode that I put down in the show notes. Now, look, visualization doesn't just have to enhance your muscle strength or your sport performance. It can actually help you learn new skills and enhance existing ones too. I want you to imagine that you want to get better at something. Maybe it's a musical instrument, a new sport, or even a hobby. Mental practice can help you just as physical practice can. Another study is from Harvard by a neurologist, and this was actually conducted in 1995, and the results are still groundbreaking today. So in this study, this neurologist had participants practice specific piano exercises for a few hours every day over several days. Now, the results were that the area in the brain which controls finger movements actually expanded, but that's not the mind-blowing part. When another group of people just imagine doing the piano exercises in their mind without actually doing these exercises physically, that brain area expanded in the same way. This study showed that mental practice or visualization alone can have the same effect on the brain as actually doing the exercise. Another study I want to share is with students that were training to become surgeons. Now, this study investigated how actually mixing mental practice, where they mentally practice and perform the surgery, with the hands-on physical practice, how mixing those two affected their skills. Now, the findings were pretty fascinating. The students that combined both mental and physical practice were actually able to improve their surgical abilities a lot more compared to those who only did the physical part. Likewise, nursing students have been shown to improve their clinical work also through the art of visualization. I hope you can see from all of these studies that I've mentioned that it just goes to show that mental rehearsal can enhance your skills compared to when you just do physical practice alone. Now, let's shift gears a little and talk about how you can actually use visualization to influence your mental well-being. So things like anxiety, stress, and worry. So in many different careers, visualization has been shown to be useful in actually reducing stress and anxiety. One study that shows this I found was actually with beginner surgeons. And what they did is they had these beginner surgeons actually visualize themselves practicing the surgery before they actually performed the surgery. And as a result, they felt way less stressed and way more confident. And the scientists measured stress in their body, and they saw that their heart rate and their cortisol levels and stress levels were reduced, which is pretty wild. In another scientific study, similar to the one that I just mentioned, police officers actually experienced positive changes after practicing visualizing challenging situations. So they had these police officers think about challenging things that they would have to face in their job, and they would have them mentally bring these situations to their mind and have them think about the situation and how they were going to solve the problem. And as a result, they experienced better problem solving, fewer sleep problems, and less stomach distress, which is a sign of stress. Just by imagining these tough situations in their mind, they got better at managing stress and handling these situations in real life. Did you know that when thinking about a threat, it actually triggers the same reactions in your brain as if you were actually facing that threat? Modern day scientists have found that imagining and actually experiencing a threat activate very similar parts of the brain. This shows that you can actually learn how to cope with a threat just by imagining it without actually ever experiencing the negative consequences. This concept is something that modern day therapists use to help people overcome their fears in something like cognitive behavioral therapy. But here is where it gets really exciting. You can flip the script. When you imagine yourself succeeding in tough situations or reaching your goals, it activates the same brain areas as if you were actually achieving those successes. This not only reduces stress, but it also increases your chances of success, and it gives you confidence. One way you can practice visualizing success is with our Embody Success meditation on Manifesty. This is a visualization meditation which is designed to help you clearly feel into a past success and then help you transport all of those familiar feelings from a past vision of your success into a future picture of your success. This is one of my favorite visualizations on the app and one that so many people in our community have used to literally win at life and create so much magic. The scientific research on visualization is one of the reasons why we are so passionate about visualization at Manifesty and why we continue to create a lot of visualization meditations and will continue to do so. Something that I find really interesting from all of this research on visualizing is how you can use this tool to improve skills. So when it comes to manifesting, I think a lot of the time we focus on the end result. And while surrendering and letting go, like all of these concepts in manifestation are so important, I feel depending on what it is that you are trying to manifest, just thinking of the end result, sometimes that isn't actually the best method when you look at the science. For example, say you want to start your own podcast. Now, in order to have a successful podcast, you are going to need to record a lot of episodes, which means you are going to need to practice speaking and really feeling confident and looking confident on camera. Now, sure, you could just visualize the end result of having a chart-topping podcast with your dream guests, but that probably won't get you any better at the actual skill that you need in order to get there, which is speaking with confidence. Now, I mention this because this is something that I've actually been doing. You might listen to this podcast and think, oh gosh, Rochelle sounds super confident. And you might think that I do all of these episodes in one take. And that's not entirely true. 99% of the time when I have a guest with me or an episode with Soul, this podcast just flows. It feels so in alignment and easy to do. But for some reason, I often struggle podcasting solo, having no one else in the room with me while speaking like I'm actually talking to someone, while keeping good energy, while remembering everything that I want to say, not forgetting my words, having all the lights on me, the aircon, all the moving parts, doing it all by myself. Sometimes it feels just a little too much. So I've actually actively been using visualization to practice this skill because out of everything that makes this podcast a success, being able to confidently speak and record solo episodes that I enjoy and have a really good flow, that is a high priority. And that's how I know I will continue to create a good podcast. Now, I went through a stage where every single fucking time I recorded a solo episode like this one, I would struggle so much. And I just really got in my head about recording solo episodes. And when I thought about recording a solo episode, I just thought about struggle. Like that was my experience with solo podcasting. Every single time I'd think about it, it would just bring up this energy of struggle. So I've been actively using visualization to rewire my brain and to just feel into more flow. and ease when it comes to podcast recording, specifically solo podcast recording. Like always, I have an action step for you today, and this one's a pretty cool one. I want you to think of something that you want to achieve in your life. I want you to think about your ultimate dream or your goal or that manifestation that you're wanting to bring into your reality. And I want you to ask yourself, what is the repeatable skill or action that will help me achieve this reality? And once you have this thing, this skill, this habit that you can do, I want you to start visualizing yourself successfully practicing this skill and just do it over and over and over and over and over again in your mind until it becomes like second nature to you. And whenever you see yourself struggling or you doubt yourself with your big dream or your goal, I just want you to come back to that very practical application of that skill or that habit and that visualization of you succeeding at that thing. And while you do this, I want you to remember that this practice of visualization is a scientifically backed and powerful way that you can strengthen your magnetic mind and attract your desired results into reality. So this isn't just some fun woo-woo thing that you're doing to get on the right vibe. This is something that works. This is something that has been scientifically proven and something that can have a lot of results if you stay consistent. And my tip for you is to also really feel into the ease of you doing this skill or doing this habit. When I practice visualizing myself recording these solo episodes, I imagine myself relaxed but energized. I imagine myself in flow, but also engaged and speaking with passion. And I just imagine myself not getting frustrated if I get flustered or if I skip a word. I imagine myself just easily and effortlessly always being able to come back to the point and to be able to keep my energy in a high vibration, in a flow state. So I practice that over and over in my head. And I know this skill of podcasting, this is one of the skills that is going to really help me in my career. This is how I'm going to be able to interview some of the most inspiring minds on the planet. This is how I'm going to be able to travel the world and grow a community and just do all the things that I'm so passionate about, and also really fulfill what I believe is my purpose on this earth, which is to help people elevate and to really find their truth and become the best version of themselves. This is what I'm so passionate about. And I want to continue to feel passionate about this skill and have this skill be something that is natural and effortless to me. But like I said to you, it's not always like that. So I have to really practice that in my head, not only here physically, but when I'm just sitting around and I'm scrolling Instagram, sometimes I just chuck the phone away and I just practice podcasting or I just practice speaking in my mind. And that's having a really tangible effect because, for example, today's podcast had a lot of flow, a lot of passion, not too many fuck ups. So it's definitely working. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and don't forget, if you did enjoy it, to please leave us a review wherever you are listening, or just to subscribe and leave a comment if you're catching this episode on YouTube. P.S. If you didn't know, the Mindspo podcast is on YouTube. All of our episodes are up and slowly coming out. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can visually see these podcast episodes as well. I am sending you so much love. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. It never goes unnoticed. And I'll see you in the next one. And remember, if you can see it in your mind's eye, you can bring it into your life. Never stop dreaming. Much love. Thank you for joining me for this episode. You can discover more from Mindspo on Instagram and TikTok by following @Mindspo and myself @Rochelle_Fox. If this episode inspired you, then please pass it on and share the love. And if you're new to our world and you want to elevate your mind and step into your best self, then be sure to download our app, Manifesty, from the App Store and take advantage of the free trial. With Manifesty, you can create your own vision board movies, practice powerful meditations, and set affirmation reminders so your phone supports your journey towards that abundant vision of your future. And lastly, always remember, You create your own reality. So go and make some magic.